Hi there, it's Quilting Nerd, and I wanted to present shortly my newest booklet I made for beginner quilters and quilters that would like to learn a little bit more about quilting on domestic machines. So for most of you, probably it is not very useful, but if you know someone that would like to start and need some basic work, I will be very grateful if you will recommend my channel and this booklet. I needed something like that when I was a beginner quilter because this booklet contains so many little tips that would make my life so much easier and would make my first quilt so much better. I started with very basic patterns, so just single patch, one patch quilt squares, and I am listing here the basic tools that you may need, and I'm also listing here all the QR codes for videos that will become active 1 week after the other as they will be published. Now the pattern is, as I mentioned, very easy. That's just a single patch patchwork because it's the easiest one for the beginners, and it's the first larger quilt project that most of us are starting with, and that's Baby Quilt. So in this case, of course, you can make it larger. I am explaining step-by-step quilting process. It's quite a lot of text, but it's when you never done that, it's nice to have the simple things explained in more detail because that's what is obvious for us, maybe not obvious for other people, especially beginning. So we start with basic quilting pattern. That's something what I showed you in my last video. So just quilting on the diagonal because that's the most easy thing to do on squares. And that's also a very fast and efficient way of quilting. And I am just showing how I am doing that using rulers, quilting on my domestic machine, and moving in a fast and efficient way. I got a very good question last week why I am not just quilting diagonal lines continuously, and I explain also the reasons why I'm doing that. It's first, I don't like doing that because it distorts my quilt and I would have to use lots of pins or glue, and I never had a good experience with that. That's just my personal story. But it actually shows you how to handle large quilts because moving the whole length of the quilt with one line, it's never worked for me in a good way. I quilted a quilt that way and I had to square it a lot because I distorted it so badly. So I am explaining the strategy of quilting such a simple pattern all over the quilt, and it's again maybe a lot of repetitive pattern, but I always admired quilters that knew how to move from one point to the other without much traveling. So they were moving fast, even with a domestic machine. Then the next step, and that will come in the next video, it's we can always add secondary pattern if we have the very basic one. So there is always possibility of adding more quilting. And in this way, we are using dot-to-dot lines and ovals. You can just use one of those. And again, I focused mostly about the strategy of efficient quilting within 1/4 and how to repeat that. So we do not have to shift the quilt back and forth all the time. So once this is done, we have very nice secondary pattern that consists of orange peel and diamond shapes. And we could fill it with additional free motion quilting. And there I added several more diagrams, quilting diagrams, including the practice pages you can print out separately as often as you like, simply to practice the pattern and train your muscle memory. And they are always separate pages, so you can just print single one of those. And I added back and forth lines, which are perfect for the beginners. And in case of wishbones, and then later also the ribbon pattern, I compacted one of my training videos on this pattern. So I presented here a set of exercises you can do to quilt to learn how to quilt wishbones, for example. And again, the training diagrams as well. Then I've done the same for the ribbon candy. And at the end of this booklet, I put all the links, so QR codes with the links to those supporting videos with additional training content. I have them scattered all over my channel. I put them into playlists, but in between there are like 340 videos, so they are sometimes can be difficult to find. We have ovals, so there is lots of very basic patterns to practice your free motion quilting. And then we have the orange peel with a little bit more advanced free motion quilting. So we have basic feather. We have very nice swirls fitted into the space. We have cinnamon buns. And we have a very nice swirl feather. And symmetrical bounced back feather in half orange peel. For each of the designs, I included the page with the diagrams, which you can print out and practice the movement and the strategy of moving. I hope, and as I promised, there are also the links for the helpful videos in the book. The booklet is available on my Etsy shop, the same one like the first booklet I made for you, and I hope you will find it useful. I hope you will have fun watching the videos despite the fact I'm talking. I know, I'm sorry, but some things have to be simply explained in a bit more detail than with text. So if you're curious, please take a look into the booklet. Watch the videos I have here. I put all the details so you know exactly what you're purchasing if you decide to do so. And hopefully we will continue having fun developing our quilting skills. Talk to you soon and see you next week. Bye!